Hello, Holy One. Hello, hello. Welcome to this space. Today, I'm going to be answering some more questions that were sent in. So thank you. Thank you to all of you for choosing to lean in and ask these questions and then trust yourselves and allow. So some of these questions are in direct connection with the AQE Foundations course that I'm teaching right now. AQE stands for Acasma Quantum Expansion. This is Acasma Quantum Energy. It is a higher dimensional space of connection in which we as human beings can connect in with the spaces of our beings, if you will, in the understanding of our brains as the future, the higher mind, our teams of light, our spiritual connections, and so forth. So some of these questions are in direct connection with this course, but it is a powerful space for me to be able to share it with everyone. And so that those who are feeling like they may be drawn to this space, maybe that they want to take the course in the future or purchase the book, there's so many ways you can embrace this space of expansion through Acasma Quantum Energy. Are there other ways on the planet that you can expand? Absolutely, 100%, innumerable ways in which you can expand. I offer Acasma Quantum Energy. I reconnected into this space within my own being and my purpose and mission in this space of this connection. I have many purposes and missions, but in this space of my being, in this connection with Acasma, it's a space of my consciousness that I am able then to convey and activate and attune others to be able to remember and then move forward and do so for others if they choose, or very big here, allow the self-expansion. So this is not just for people who want to be an energy healer or an Acasma Quantum Energy facilitator or an Acasma Quantum Energy life coach or spiritual guide, higher dimensional medium. We have a lot of different spaces within our Acasma family. And one of the biggest spaces we have within our Acasma family, if not the biggest space we have in our Acasma family, is humans who want to self-expand and implement their best life now without any connectivity to becoming an energy healer. So if for any reason you feel like you're drawn to the space, but you don't want to be an energy healer, most likely you're not here to be that. You're here to be the highest version of you in the form and way in which that unfolds. And Acasma is a means in which you could, if you choose to, connect in deeper and remember, activate. So this beautiful questions, or these questions, there's several of them, came in reference these keys we work with in Acasma Quantum Energy. So an energy key is what this question is about. There's a lot of other healing modalities on the planet and throughout human history, and many of them have energy keys. What is a key? It is something that opens a door. It unlocks a lock, right? It opens up a space. And so these specific energy keys of Acasma are the connective points to that which the energies they represent, the energies they are. So there are several different keys. And if you get the book, you can learn about them. If you take the course, you can learn about them and be attuned to them. What does that mean? I saw a movie this weekend. It was fantastic. I saw Dungeons and Dragons, the movie with, I believe it's Chris Pine, and so many other fantastic actors as well. So I was blown away. I'm not a Dungeons and Dragons, I don't follow it. I've never played it or whatever it is. So forgive me for all of you who may be. I think it's awesome. That what I do know about it sounds fun and really cool. My daughter likes it a lot. But in the movie, it was so cool. I'm not going to give any spoilers here, but there was a specific item in the movie that upon their quest, these characters were on this quest, right? And upon their quest, they had to work with this specific item. Well, one character had to work with this specific item, and it was magical, and he was having a bit of a time working with it at first. And again, I'm not going to give you a lot of detail, but here I am watching that movie, teaching people about higher dimensional technologies and energy keys and how we are this space of ourselves and we're moving into it more and more. And that I attune people. And then I teach people and activate people to attune others to become facilitators as well. And then down the road, teachers, if you choose. But there's a lot to learn, but it's all beautiful. And it all is also for the self, first and foremost. So it expands and heals the being as they're learning, as they're expanding. And then if they choose to, they can offer it to others. So in the movie, the one character who was having to work with this magical technology, if you will, he says, I have to attune to it. I have to attune to it. And how wise, how cool. I love this because everything is energy. If you watch any of my videos on this, you'll see, and I have a lot of them. Everything is energy and everything has a different vibrational frequency. And all of the healing modalities that are on the planet right now, including Acasma Quantum Energy, which is also an ascension modality. That's something very different as well. Some are healing modalities, but they're not ascension modalities, right? Everything serves a purpose and everything functions at a vibrational frequency, an energy wave, if you will. And when you are attuned to that frequency and that wave, then you are able to utilize, connect with, and work in that energetic space of connection and what goes on in that space. Yes, the miracles, the higher dimensional beings, the higher dimensional technologies, the higher dimensional understandings. And all of those spaces then can be anchored into your now through your vessel, your now avatar, your now being. And therefore you will birth higher dimensional realities, experiential spaces of you, because you are in direct connection with and living from. You have to live from it. You can't just know about it. It can't just be a great book you bought and put on the shelf. And yeah, I understand the concepts. You have to live from them because that is you being, emanating, vibrating the vibrational frequency of that higher dimensional space. And therefore you will create higher dimensional realities because you're the creator. It's all coming from your energy centers, your energy wave, right? Your signature. So we've talked about this in depth before and lots of videos on my channel. If you want to look around there, you'll find them. But this question is about the energy keys in Acasma, and these are specific to Acasma. They carry the energy and the consciousness, if you will, the information of Acasma, quantum energy, and all that is entailed in this higher dimensional space of connection. So question one was, you say the keys are not put into the body, but outside when we do a session. As facilitators, you say we carry the keys. So in this case, are they put in our body or our field? No, they are not. Great question. We never put anything in anyone. In any who move on, this particular student is in the facilitators course. So they're learning the foundations. And in the foundations, we learn that we never put anything in anyone in Acasma. Now, there are other energetic healing modalities and teachings where they do put energy keys in people's fields, in people's energy centers and so forth. But in Acasma, we don't need to. This is the higher dimensional space of consciousness and connectivity in which just having the energy signature of the specific energy keys is like having a file of information immediately available to you for you to initiate the connection with as you choose to. So why is that important? Because this is the space of the human leaving the space of savior syndrome, feeling that like something has to come and save you, and the human moving into the space of understanding it is here to save itself. Does that mean you don't have spiritual team of light and incredible, powerful beings working with you? No, they are with you all the time. I'm surrounded by love. I'm surrounded by light. I'm surrounded by beings. And as I change in my own understanding of myself, the way in which I can pick up on them, the way in which I perceive them, interpret them, does change. So when I was in a very, very religious space of my being, through the first 40 some years of my life as this version of me, I always saw them as male and really, really strong, angelic wings. And that was in direct connectivity with my belief structure. So I was building the interpretation based on my belief. Everything is built on your belief. Does that mean that they're no longer angelic? It means that I can broaden my understanding and interpretation of them into something in addition to and beyond. So I'll leave that one at your feet. But we don't put the keys in anyone because we don't need to, because when people work with Acasma Quantum Energy, they are coming into a space of themselves where they are activating and reconnecting into their sovereignty. And so they are dropping the cycle of worship and savior, look for the savior, even the judgment and the guilt and the shame. They're dropping all of that, and they're moving into a vantage point, an interpretation of themselves beyond their now line, but in addition to their now line, in which they understand themselves as eternal light, period. Outside of the structure of this human now line, there's so much more. There's so much more. So Acasma is able to assist by being in the presence of the field, not having to be within the body or the field. Even when someone moves into becoming a master teacher so that they can create a facilitator. Right now, this student is in a course to become a facilitator. Then there's another course where you become a master teacher and you can create facilitators, make facilitators, teach them, guide them, walk with them, and activate and attune them. There's a lot to this process, but it's beautiful. And it's like somebody giving you a drink of water when you're thirsty. It's incredible. So even when we move into the Master Teacher Program, those of you who have been in it, you still are not putting anything in anyone. Why? Because everyone is sovereign and they are learning to be that sovereignty without any crutch of anything, an energy key, an outside source of any kind needing to supersede them, if you will. Is this, heresy or sacrilegious? In my book, it is not. In my book, it is the epitome of that which is created, remembering itself in its fullness. And therefore, the source of the creative point would be very, very happy, grateful, pleased, if you will, to see the spaces of itself whole. All right, now the second question says the power key hovers in front of our heart, then expands out to surround the physical body. Is there a sphere that surrounds that key? Or does the key morph into a sphere? Or does the key keep its shape and is the field of love? So here's what I understand with what she's speaking about is the shield and field of love that you receive when you receive an Acasma Quantum Energy session. So if you were to book one of the Acasma Quantum facilitators that are available across this planet, many of them on Etsy, many of them are on IG, TikTok, YouTube, Telegram. We are reaching the world in various platforms and outlets and ways. Facebook, all these different outlets, because there's people everywhere ready and willing to wake up and remember and reconnect and be their highest good. And when you have an Acasma Quantum Energy session, it doesn't matter if it's the first one you ever have or if it's the 20th one you have, and everyone's different as to how much and how often they want to connect. Every single session, your shield field, and that's got a slash between it because it's both, depending upon where the person is at on their journey. If they're still living with more fear, it's going to be a shield. If they are living with more love and neutrality, it's going to be a field. Either way, it's still a field, but if it needs to be a shield, it is. If it needs to be protection, it is. But it is always love. So it never protects from a space of fear. It protects from a space of sovereign love. What does it mean, though, in connection with the field of the body, the auric field, the client that's receiving this session? What is the connectivity here? I try so hard to convey this, but when you have an Acasma Quantum Energy session, the heart center, energy center activates into the portal of light that it is. It already is this, but for most people, they're disconnected and deactivated. Acasma activates and reconnects. The portal activates and opens, and the I am origination of the client floods into the now version. As the I am, floods into the now version. It flows through the entire physical body, energy body, and outer energy fields of that client, of that person. Now, that client has always had an energy field flowing around them because that's what we are inside of a vessel, a human body. But outside of our human body is an auric field, an energy field. It's our energy, the individual's energy. And everybody is different because everybody's energy is different because everybody has different beliefs and they're running a different vibration. But when that portal's open in that Acasma Quantum Energy session, and the beautiful Acasma star she's speaking of, the power key, moves out around them, it is blessing the existing energy body of the being. It is blessing the existing auric field, and the flood of the I am in connection with that outer blessing is sealing, if you will, the field of the client into the highest alignment of its remembrance of itself as that I am, which is love. So the field and shield of love is the client's at full reactivation and alignment with its being as it was intended or as it has always been, but reactivated and reconnected. So I hope that conveys correctly. And the next question says, I'm not that good at self-sessions yet. I would imagine that the sequence of key placing happens quite quickly, except in the soul reconnection is a place of receiving. They're all actually places of receiving, and they're all actual spaces where one could register and read as the facilitator of a self-session or for a client. You could take time with the root, really get a feel for what's going on, like that story I've told before of the gentleman I was working with, my client. And when I was doing the root reconnection, I noticed his right leg had no root lines going into the earth at all. I reconnected and activated and established the root lines for him, relayed the information to him afterwards with all the other information from the session. And he said it made complete sense. I teach the right side of the body is the masculine. So I said, I'm not sure if you had any types of issues with your father figures, or with a son, or all of the above, male in general, divine masculine, but you had no connection root-wise. You were not rooting. And he had had severe trauma his whole life with the masculine side of him and his body and his family. And it was generational. So my presence with the root gave me that information to relay to him, which gave him a lot of clarity and faith that he's not crazy, and that there was a reason, and that we took care of it and we cleaned it up and cleared it up and activated and rooted him so that he could be balanced now. He could move forward in a new way, and he could heal those old cycles. So presence with each space, because each space you are receiving. You are receiving at each space. And then it says, she goes on and she says, sometimes I get stuck as I don't receive anything. Maybe there's a block. You are always receiving. This is a new program I want you to install right now. You have been trained, highly trained, to be deactivated, separated out, and disconnected. And it has been trained and entrenched in people generation upon generation upon generation. So this is a big one. So you're doing fantastic to be in this space you're in right now. Truly own that first, that you are amazing, that you are in this space right now. All right? That we're having this conversation, that you're asking these types of questions, that your mind and your being are pondering these types of understandings and concepts. This is awesome. Own that first. And then I want you to allow yourself to take out this programming of being blocked and allow yourself to put in, install that I am open to receive as I move forward according to my highest good. Now that means you are neutral and non-judgmental of how that looks, sounds, feels, or plays out. I am open to receive according to my highest good. Allowing yourself to not judge, because judgment is what says you're blocked. And judgment is a constrictive space of energy, tightening up and saying, it doesn't look the way I want it to look. It doesn't feel the way I want it to feel. That's not neutrality. And that's not unconditional love for yourself. So it's all right it's awareness, it's knowledge, it's power to say, okay, I can untie myself. I can release this specific regulating way I have to be or feel or see or have it happen. And allowing yourself to just be okay with right where you are will open the floodgates to move into the next space of you. So try replacing that thought process of having a blockage with the thought that you are open, because your belief as to being blocked will keep you blocked, or that you could be blocked will keep the possibility very, very potent, prominent. But if you can believe that you are open to receive according to your greatest and highest good, just as you should, however that plays out, then that is what you're going to move into. Also, would you receive something each time? As it seems, there would be a lot of soul loss that you would be recouping, because she's talking about the soul reconnection space. In theory, though, a self session done daily would probably not take too long, and you would move into meditation. Absolutely. You are so right. Perfectly said. It becomes a connective point of being. It becomes the presence of the higher dimensional space of connection. It's just who you are. So you could actually open your eyes in the morning and have just minutes before you put your feet upon the floor to get out of bed. And you could say, Acasma flow. If you're activated and attuned, you've done the work, you understand the concepts. And if you're not, you can still lean in to the space of it. You're just not going to be a facilitator facilitating for other people, because there's a lot involved that you need to be able to know that you're doing in the way in which it's taught to claim you are something, right? So if you wake up in the morning and you open your eyes and you say Acasma flow, and you just allow yourself just to hold the intention of the reconnective points of Acasma, you know them, you've been taught them, they're going to happen. Now, if you wanted to add to that the visualization, that's a powerful additive. So you start and you see your feet. You know what connection you're making. You go right up above your head. You know what connection you're making. You go to your heart. You know what connection you're making. You watch your field emanate love. You know what connection you're making. You bless and you see your throat and mind. You know what connection you're making. And you see the beautiful chalice of life and the blessing of your waters, the programs in your waters, your cells, your blood, your organs. You know what connection you're making. And there you go. Get out of bed. You've blessed your being on all levels into the higher vibrational space of connection that you already are. Implementing that reconnective space through intent and through the attuning properties of the energy field and the energy keys and the energy teachings that you've anchored. When you learn these things and you implement the learning, then you have anchored. And when you anchor something, you don't leave it unless you choose to pull the anchor up and move into another space. As you can see, I'm not very connected to receive, as there must be some limiting subconscious beliefs. There you go. That's what we were just talking about, right? Uninstall them. I just did a video recently and it talked about an eraser and a divine blueprint. And if you get off track and you realize you are because it feels wonky or uncomfortable or maybe even screams at you, then you can stop going in that direction that is taking you away from your heart and your purpose and your love. And you can erase that and come back into alignment with your heart, follow, trust, allow, and continue forward. These limiting subconscious beliefs are there for you to find and say, I remove them. The only way they stay gone is you have to implement an unlimiting belief. Now, she says subconscious, and I know there's a lot of people who say, well, how are you going to change the subconscious? By changing the conscious and by allowing yourself to know that you are working in a higher vibrational space of connection, trusting that and allowing that to implement and flow through all the spaces of the consciousness. Okay, so she says there was presumably in time would be released through daily practice. Perfect. Yes, yes, yes. That's what we just said. Absolutely. Beautiful. She's right on it. She's right. You're right on it. You're right on it. I love it. Okay, she says, which it also leads me to some other questions. She says, it seems a Kundalini awakening is what really tips someone to move from their head to their heart. And she's talking about the understanding that was brought forth with these Acasma teachings, and that is the higher dimensional beings of light saying in my client sessions to the clients, and I relay the messages. And again and again and again, humans need to get out of their heads and into their hearts. Humans are in the head too much. They need to get into the heart more. So she says, it seems like the Kundalini awakening is really what would help someone get out of their head and into their heart and create more access to the higher energies. It seems important that it happens. And if it hasn't or doesn't, then maybe it's not a clear channel. Okay. My intuitive gut is that that also is a program. And that's a program you can absolutely 100% carry and run if you choose to, but I don't run it. And I know a lot of people that don't run it, and they are highly activated divine beings in human formats, and they do not run the program that the Kundalini has to activate in any certain way or at all. Now, there are the blessing of the energy centers that we do in Acasma. And when we start them in Acasma Foundations, in the first 2 parts of the course, there's 3 parts, we work with the upper centers first. And so you recall this, the beautiful student who was asking this question. We start with, I open my eye that I may see the truth. We move through the upper centers. When we get to the later 3rd part of the course, we then go down into the solar plexus, sacral, and root. I don't even teach a lot on the chakras because we are moving out of that even playing a role at all. I'm sorry, but we're moving out of it. We are moving into the space of no more compartmentalization of the being or separation of the being in any way. And we are moving into one complete shaft of light. So I do not hold I personally, and again, everyone should have their own understandings. I personally do not hold that it has to be any specific way and that it has to be a Kundalini awakening and by the book accordingly and to what that states. I hear about the energy moving up the spine and, activating the 3rd eye and so forth. But I have experienced these awakening processes in various ways with various clients from all over the planet in all different types of backgrounds, beliefs, understandings, and they are never exactly like this particular teaching. So I think everyone is very, very different. And I think we have a lot of humans on the planet right now that are higher dimensional beings of light, and they will activate very differently than maybe what we would have seen as a more traditional based human being. And they're here for this now. So being open to allowing some of the more structured teachings that have been here for a very long time, letting them open up a little bit, letting those teachings even getting a breath of fresh air and moving into the next space of them, right? Of those teachings. All right, so let's see. Also the light language. I can't imagine ever doing this spontaneously, which is how it happened to me. And I wonder if this eventually happens to all Acasma facilitators. In the meantime, you mentioned using some words in our own C2C music. She's talking about the music link that the Acasma Quantum Energy facilitators make and give to their clients if they choose to be a facilitator. So you get a music link to listen to that's specific to Acasma Quantum Energy. And a lot of times there are keywords we use. I ask all my facilitators to use the keywords of Acasma and then allow their light languages as well. She says, would it be good to know the meaning of the words? And she's talking about the light language words. You do not have to know. That's the trust yourself. But if you can't trust yourself yet and you need to know, I find we constrict ourselves. That's the head. The heart hears it. The heart hears it, and the heart does not need an explanation. The heart feels the explanation and understands the energy through the sensation of the vibration. And so when your client hears you speaking, and they breathe, They feel the meaning. They register the meaning through their entire being. The mind wants to know all these specifics. She says, and is it a good idea to practice vocalizing these words to maybe actualizing spontaneous light language? Absolutely. I teach that in my Acasma Quantum Vibrational Healing Technique course. That's all about sound. It's all about light language. It's all about the conveyance of tone and vibration, and the way in which we are those forms before we take on the format of a human, even. Sound into light and light into matter. So when you are allowing certain phrases and you're just repeating them, te 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 na 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 onokea onokea, te 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 na 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 onokea onokea. That is from my bioquantum vibrational healing course. It is the healing of the future, if you will. It is the understanding of frequency and sound, healing and aligning matter, structure, form, organs, blood, cells. Those are really good questions. Really good questions. I love it. So yes, vocalizing words that even if you have a few, and if you don't have any, use the ones I share with you. Te, te, te. That's a T, A-Y. Te, te, te. Na, na, na. Onokea. Onokea. And allow. Allow. On rereading AQE 1, you talk about Acasma being quantum energy. I see the quantum as an entire field of source energy, and I understand that every particle and wave in that is part of the whole. Acasma is a collective within that, question mark. You say Acasma is a higher consciousness that is a collective and or a group of higher dimensional light beings that make up a coalition of light. Would that be something like Abraham Hicks or the Raw Collective with a specific purpose and were here when Earth was formed? Also, tall ones are this group. I sensed tall ones behind and above me once, one night, years ago. I love this. I love this. I could have done a whole video on just this question, but all right, maybe we'll add in another day. Okay, yes, you've got it. You've got it. You've got it. You've got it. The quantum field is the entire field of source energy. That is absolutely true. And then there are all these collective spaces and even individual wave spaces within the quantum field itself. But at the same time, there's the understanding of the unity of it all because it's all one field. And then there's these variations and individualized waves of the field for experiential purposes to expand. Realities are created, parallel realities, multiverse realities, because this is just how big and vast this whole thing and we are. And yes, you have it perfect. You have it grand understanding. It is the Acasma Collective it's a unit of beings. And I say beings because they are beings that are human and there are beings that are not human. And we are all higher vibrational consciousness connected into this collective of Acasma. And there are many other collectives that have different names and different purposes, different finer points that they focus on. And everyone is purposeful and valuable and needed. That's because of the vastness of the we, that all the we is needed, yes? So she's got it right on. The tall ones are with us in Acasma, yes, absolutely. I love them dearly. I am one, yes. All right, now, so I think I've answered them all. These were fantastic. These were fantastic. So if you haven't gotten the book yet, this is my book. This is Acasma Quantum Expansion, the AQE, that's what that stands for, Acasma Quantum Expansion. And it's the foundations course. So it's the remember who you are, higher dimensional understandings, birthing higher dimensional realities. Now, I wrote this book, and it is written so that if you never take my course, you could receive activations and self-expansion. from connecting with the book. I want to reach the world. It's what I'm here to do. If you take the course, it goes with the course as well, and it takes some of the spaces a bit deeper than the PDFs that you get with the investment in the course. And there's a lot of personal information in the book as well, and photographs that are really cool, really beautiful. So this book meets everyone right where they're at. And right now it's being translated into about 7 other languages. So it's just incredibly powerful and beautiful and exciting. Exciting. We are these higher dimensional spaces already. And it is the now version of us that is the way in which those spaces are. This is the foundation. This is the implementation. And we are in direct connection with that space of ourselves, in connection with Earth. So we are here on Earth for this reason. It's not a mishap. It's not a mistake. It's purpose. And the purpose is love. And there are many others here for all different kinds of reasons and purposes and missions. And Acasma is about being the anchor ship of the higher dimensional human. So if you are drawn to this space, if you feel as if, most people will say it's like they came home. I received a beautiful email today from a gentleman who had a session with me and then joined my Patreon. Thank you so much, Holy One. Thank you. I think it's all right if I say your first name, Cliff. Thank you. They wrote me an email and made note of how connecting with this work, connecting with me, connecting with Acasma Quantum Energy, with the teachings, the energy, consciousness, felt like if you were in a mall and you were lost as a child, and then you found your way, you found your parents, you found safety. And that is just an incredibly powerful way to relay what so many across the planet share, and that is that feeling of coming home. And when I was a little girl, I did get lost in a mall. I think I was 7 or 8 years old, big mall in South Miami, the United States, Florida. And I remember feeling so small and so little when I was lost, you know, like the stores, the clothing racks and the people and everything just seemed so big. Like I just couldn't see my way. And then this one woman that worked in one of the department stores came up to me. She was very kind and she said, "Are you lost?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "It's okay. I know where we can find your parents." And there was this one shoe store back then, Buster Brown, I think it was called. And that if you were a lost child, they took you there and your parents would know to go there and find you. And we were on our way, walking down the middle of the mall, all these people everywhere, very noisy. We were on our way to that Buster Brown shoe store so that she could hope I would find my parents there, you know? And I looked up and there was my dad. And he had tears in his eyes. It was about the time that there was like a famous child abduction at that time near where we lived. And so he was really terrified that somebody had taken me and not that I was just lost. And he just grabbed me up in his arms and held me and kissed me. And the woman said, "Is this your father?" And I said, "Yes, yes, it's my father. It's my father." And I was so grateful to be found. I was so grateful I wasn't lost anymore. Everything seemed different, you know? People, they didn't seem as big and daunting, and the noises got quieter and clarity came back in and stuff started looking nice again, you know, and colors became vibrant again, and it was safe. It was safe. So when I got Cliff's email this morning and he relayed that connective point, you know, that type of understanding, that feeling, I thought, yeah, I really get that. I really get It's incredible to be home, isn't it? It's incredible to be reconnected back into yourself, back into love, back into the space of connection with others that you know them. We know each other. We came for this now. We are here to be these higher dimensional beings of light in human formats, to anchor and facilitate love as the human collective awakens. We do it by being it in our own lives and allowing it to flow through our fields into the field. And the love, the waves of love, interconnecting with this beautiful collective family we are, flowing bigger and bigger throughout the field. I'm honored to walk with each and every one of you. I see you. I see you. Labre ianatea tauanea, pasuaye ianakea, akoaye ianatoa, topoaye ianateawa, tosoaye iananenea toa, kokoaye ianateausuaye, tausoaye, tausoaye, tausoaye. Take a deep breath, Holy One. Yaukuaye, nene yana tautea, abuaye, abuaye, abuaye. Unending blessings upon you, Holy Divine One. Unending.